The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily represent those of this station or its management.
It's time for Where You Live with Gene Sullivan, the show that's all about owning, buying, selling, renting, and association management. If it involves a home, we'll talk about it. Here's a chance to get your homeowner questions answered. From the Natural Lawn and Landscape Studios, here's Gene Sullivan.
Needed the shelter of someone's arms, and there you were. Needed someone to understand my ups and downs.
Good morning. Welcome to Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan, and of course, broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios. Want you to remember that Natural Green is a locally owned and operated lawn and landscape care company. Their mission is to use the most environmentally sensitive products available to keep your lawn and landscape looking lush and beautiful while still healthy for both people and pets. Give them a call today. See what they can do for you. Their number is 763-213-2410. We're also brought to you by Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. Folks, it's great to have you with us, as always, every weekend here on Where You Live. And, of course, without further ado, I also want to always welcome my favorite board op, Christopher Wyatt Earp Huberty, with the fastest fingers in the West. How are you, Christopher?
I'm good. How about yourself, Gene?
I'm really good.
Excellent.
You know, I was thinking on the way coming in here to the station that, I have a concern. I think that we are getting to a point as a society, and tell me if you agree with this or not. Mm-hmm. I think that we are putting an emphasis way more on what are my rights as a person as opposed to what are my responsibilities.
Absolutely.
I've seen that just in the small time in my life, just growing up. You know, for example, I remember when I was young. Well, I'll take that back. If someone today was bitten by a dog, the first thing I think a lot of people would do is they would sue the neighbor who had the dog.
Right.
The difference when I was a kid growing up and I came home with a dog bite, first thing my dad would say, "What did you do to the dog?" There was some responsibility there as well. Not to take away that, there's some people do have mean dogs, but
sure.
But there was a different emphasis placed on responsibility. And I think, unfortunately, we've gone away from that, and it is causing some issues and problems. And we're going to see that today in some stories that we have for you. There's some doozies here, let me tell you. So without further ado, let's begin with the first one in property management in the news. Property management in the news is brought to you by Home Furniture and Abbey Floor Coverings. Their showrooms are staffed with professionals who will help you choose what you need to fit both your lifestyle and budget. Whatever you need, chances are they'll have what you're looking for. Now, if you wish to avail yourself of special pricing and discounts you won't find anywhere else, all Where You Live listeners can call Customer Service Coordinator Lori Matson. Her number, 952-224-2663, and ask for your Where You Live special pricing. Well, let's deal with this first story. Comes out of the Miami Herald about a week or so ago. And it talks about a condo association that's in a dog fight. Chris, what is that?
The dog fight. That's what I think of when I hear dog
No.
fight.
Not that kind of dog fight.
Oh, it's kind of like this.
Yes, there you go. What we're talking about is a homeowner association that is in a dog fight, or I guess homeowners that are in a fight for their dogs. More specifically, there was a gentleman who was quoted and interviewed. He lives in the Bay Garden Manor condominiums in Miami. His name is Steve Vincent. And the reason he chose the condominium that he's living in is because clearly the governing documents state that no pets are allowed. And this is a very important issue for him because for this 49-year-old gentleman, he has had a kidney transplant. And he's been told by his doctors medically to avoid any kind of fur from animals because it's a medical imperative, because it could be disastrous to him because of the dander, because of allergies, because of just for his wellness. So he's very careful. He's very thoughtful. And so he made sure that he said, well, if I'm going to live somewhere, I'm going to live in a condominium association, make sure that no pets are allowed. Here's the issue, though, folks. And that is there seems to be a large loophole that a lot of people are seeing today that live in homeowner associations where they have said no pets are allowed. And this loophole is in a classification called emotional support animals. And it can be very simple and as convincing as a physician, a psychiatrist, a social worker, a mental health professional, an individual living in an association just needs to get a letter signed by one of those individuals saying that this animal provides needed emotional support. One property manager down in the Miami area said he thinks that this is becoming of epidemic proportions down here with people who knew when they purchased the home that no pets were allowed, but then later have just gone through with this loophole saying that they need a emotional support animal. And this gentleman, his name is George Zamora, who's with Regatta Real Estate Management, and tried to get him to be on the phone here for today's show and was unable to connect with him. So maybe we'll be able to do that here in the future. But he said something that I thought was very interesting. He said, I think this huge insurgence of emotional support animals that's growing in epidemic proportions, he says, I think is very highly suspect. And he says, because of this, he said, people begin by asking whether or not they can have a pet. And he said, all of a sudden, they show up with one and they say, I need it for emotional support. And he made the observation, he said, if you legitimately have an issue and need a pet, you don't ask for permission, you just go ahead and do that. And I just thought, that is a great observation of human nature. A lot of people are kind of asking, kind of dancing around the question because they know what the rules say, but they don't want to obey the rules. And that's, to me, the issue that we talked about here at the very top of the show here, the idea and notion that we have developed a society that is so fond and so quick and ready to say, but wait a minute, I have this right and I have this right. But we don't talk about what are my obligations, what are my responsibilities with that. And I think it's a very unfortunate thing. Let me give you another example. Maybe this analogy will help bring it home here. And that is, one particular activity that's become a lot more, I guess I would say, less acceptable in society is the idea of smoking. Now, I'm a cigar smoker. And people that know me know that I enjoy an occasional cigar. I live in a homeowners association. I have one neighbor who lives to the right of me. He smokes cigars. We'll enjoy a cigar every once in a while. My neighbor to the left of me does not. And there are sometimes that she's bothered by it. Well, I don't talk about, well, this is my right. I have a right to do that. If I am puffing on a cigar in my back deck and the wind is in the right direction and it's a nice spring or summer day and some of that is wafting in, and all my neighbor on the left has to say is, hey, Gene, you know what? That's bothering me. You know what? I'm sorry. I'll put it out. Why? Because there is an obligation. There's a responsibility that you have. It's not, I have a right and the right triumphs anything else. Unfortunately, we're getting to that point where rights are beginning to trump what another individual has. And that is a problem because they feel that they have a right too. And what do you do when you have competing rights? Well, we'll talk about that more, but we need to take a break right now. So let's do it. Don't go away. We've got a lot of where you live, but after these messages.